understand what just happened. I literally paused on your name. How are you doing today?
Very great, my sister.
I think I was trying to transition from the conversation, you know, we were having off air before before we came on. All right, then let's get into the conversation proper. Before we do that, how much water have you had today?
You can see one.
I can see it in front of you. I can. And you listening, hope you have had a lot of water. I think our highest today was 36 degrees, but humidity is quite high, so it's definitely going to feel hotter than it is. So stay hydrated and stay cautious. Quite a number of things have happened in the country today. Let's start from the least hot to the hottest, shall we? All right, so we're beginning with this story. Police officer, the police is saying they are going to probe the officer captured opening the door of a car for an anointed man of God. Apparently, the police, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, that's the police PR, said, who is this person? He made a tweet on X. Who is this person? I need to know before any comments. There are some individuals who are entitled to that by position, rank, or social status. But who is this person? If you can help with this information, thanks. And this was his response after several Nigerians, you know, tagged him to a video that made waves, that is currently trending, of you know, a private citizen coming down from an SUV. So apparently one of the ones that was replied to was this one from Prince Monye, who from Oyoma underscore, says, please, when did it become normal for a policeman attached to a private citizen to open vehicle doors for them? Actions like this demean the police force, sir. And I mean, what do you think about it? What do you think about, you know, police officers being attached to private individuals, where, you know, you have situations where you see police officers having to carry bags of people, open their doors, hold their umbrellas, practically being reduced to not even bodyguards, the caregivers of certain people.
You know, one thing we should need to understand is that there is this department in police that they call it Special Force for VIP, and they do all these kind of things in the sense that there are special policemen that are posted to private individuals to protect them, to guide them, and those individuals pay for it. They pay for it maybe monthly or yearly. They even kit them, they buy things for them, they buy weapons for them, or buy bullets for them and other things. So this is not the first time we'll be seeing something like this, because it draws attention from social media. That's why the first PRO is trying to say, who is this? But there are several of them have been doing this, and several of them have been opening doors for individuals, including people that just came into the country. They hire bodyguard, they hire some policemen, and the police continue to open. For me, these are non-issues. So far, we have created a department to cater for rich people in our society. So why are we complaining about policemen opening door for them? Who else will come and open door? If the policeman will follow him all the way from wherever they are to where they are going, who else will open the door? So for me, these are not issues we should be wasting our energy on. It has been created. It has not been part and parcel of our society. Have you not heard about policewomen carrying bag of their madam?
Even policemen, no?
Exactly. So it's not
officers generally.
The people should just allow Olumiwa to concentrate on the real job. Let him give us real information, and let them concentrate on the welfare of Nigerian police.
But then is it correct? I mean, saying that this is, I think, you're sounding pretty dismissive to, you know, these questions. How does it reflect on the Nigerian police force when our police force have been reduced to people that open car doors? They are now chaperones. If
you ask, what are the part of their jobs, even if they are catering for official individuals, don't they open the doors for those official individuals? So will you not say, okay,
I'm saying generally, are they supposed to? What does it take? And this is going to bring us to the bigger question of, you know, how we take governance in the country. It has now become beyond service. It's being served, which is the reverse of what it's supposed to be. Because you're having people who are supposed to be serving, civil servants, being served in very ridiculous ways. You're not royalty. You're not a king. You're not a monarch. You're elected into office to serve people, and then you're having police officers who are supposed to be, highly respected in sane climes, we have people opening doors for police officers and, military men. You see police officers receiving applause in other countries, and in other countries, you have, not all, of course, I'm just saying more developed countries, you would see where, government officials are carrying their own bags, opening their own doors. How have we gotten to a place where not just government officials, but even private citizens feel they have arrived at a position where, why don't you hire a private guard to open your doors for you, since it's so difficult for you to open the doors? I don't want to make it a religious thing, because the person in question here is a religious leader of some sort. You can't open your own doors. What does that now say about the people of Nigeria and our attitudes?
One thing you correctly mentioned, you have made this look international. In other climes, these same police people also perform the same. I want you to understand.
They open doors for private citizens.
See, once you hire them, I've said something when we started. I said in Nigeria, the police have a department whereby officers are posted for the purpose of individuals, rich individual, and they protect them. They serve in their houses. I came from Metama to the Abbey. Do you know how many policemen I saw in front of houses? I can't count them.
So we are carrying this is the same Nigerian police force that we're saying we have shortage of manpower, and we still have enough manpower to create an entire division, department rather, that is supposed to be catering for VIPs.
You know why? Because it's bringing in receipt revenue for the IG and his people. So until we begin to work on that particular structure and say we don't want to have policemen for individuals protection, they should hire guard, or we should create a different security agency and say, okay, this security agency is for hiring and you'll be paying government for it. But as long as we have this kind of thing, the police will continue to open doors for people, and don't be surprised, you could be the next person that a policeman will open this door of your car for.
I won't let it happen for me. You said it's personal, right? I don't let even our security guards open my door for me. It's a personal choice, and I feel like it's something that Nigerians should imbibe. I'm not imposing on anybody or anything. I'm like, there are other things we should be focused on, just like you said, in the country, as opposed to having security operatives that should be paying attention to saving lives and property. Opening our doors, you would begin to wonder. And then when we are subjecting our police officers to doing this type of things, you start to wonder why, when there's fire exchange, we are hearing stories of them running, because they are used to opening doors, not fighting crime. No shades. Absolutely no shades. Well, the president himself, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has vowed, he and his administration has vowed that his administration will continue to put measures in place to bring succor to Nigerians. So it was when he was having a meeting yesterday with the business people, governors and business people in Abuja. He said all options will be explored to resolve the nation's socio-economic challenges. Now, I'm going to quickly quote him, and then we'll look at the story real quick. He said, let's look at what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong to bring back life to this economy. Like I said many times, the people of this country are the only ones we have to please. We're very much concerned, from students to mothers and fathers, farmers, traders, and we're realizing that every one of us will have to fetch water from the same well. These are the words of the president, and it sounds pretty different from what we have heard the president say before now. We've heard presidents say things like, oh well, we are doing what we can, and we've seen the body language of the presidency like, okay, you're either going to take what it is that we are doing or you wouldn't. But here we are having the president vow, although it's not the first time we are hearing the president do that. How should Nigerians receive this message?
I think that meeting was meeting that they called the tripartite meeting of Presidential Economy Advisory Committee. That was where he made that statement, because he's having a lot of people coming together, governors, some business individuals, and they form a committee that is going to be advising the president. Me, I'm not after those speeches. Those speeches are just rhetoric. They continue to flow in between what we are hearing every day from government or quarters. But what I'm interested in is those committee, and I'm so not too elated because I'm seeing government bringing business people to be part of the economic advisory committee. They don't work. They don't work. Why am I saying they don't work? Because at the end of the day, let me just take us memory back. Right from Obasanjo time in 1999 to 2007, Yar'Adua, then Jonathan, then Buhari, government will always bring businessmen to be part of one economic committee, one advisories. These guys will not give you the real advice that will help the economy, because at the end of the day, they will promote their personal interest. And that is the same mistake the current president is about to make. You are bringing businessmen who are only interested in ensuring that government policy favor them. They don't think about the poor anymore. The mother, father fetching water from the same well is just Nollywood storyline.
Are we really fetching water from the same well?
You should ask now, because I know that it's well. Many people are thinking now. Nobody is even interested in well anymore. So what I'm trying to point out is that for me, it is about that committee that have come to place that I'm really concerned of, and I'm concerned because I'm not expecting anything different from what other committee in the past that was set up by the government have always done, because the business people are only interested in what will help them and help their business to grow. Even though the president was talking about job creation, talking about poverty reduction, talking about breaking the circle of inequality in the society, that's why I made mention of mother, children, students fetching water from. It's about breaking the circle of inequality. So how will you expect business people who are interested in more profit and profiteering from the situation to come and break the circle of inequality and poverty or create jobs when you're looking for opportunity to make more money? And you government on the other side, you're thinking about your policy on tax, fiscal policy, and the rest of them. So when you bring these kind of two groups together, they don't normally find the leeway to ensure that the economy grows, because one side will be pushing for its own interest and the other side will be thinking of next election on how to support them so that the things will flow. What I would have expected was that when the US economy was having a shock when Joe Biden came in, do you know the guys he called 150 professors, economy professors, together and seek their opinion on how to push American economy forward. The same thing when Obama was there. But look at what our president is bringing business people. Business people will only become an advisor on the best means of ensuring that business continue to flow and survive. But they will not give you the critical advice that will ensure that not that the business will not flow, it will flow, but the target is the poor people in the society. So how do you ensure that jobs be created? How do you ensure that inequality circle is broken? How do you ensure that poverty is at least addressed? So when we now bring this set of people together and the same governors that refuse to create jobs in their state, putting them in this committee, and I expect that things will change, it will not work. So I'm concerned about those committee, and as earlier pointed out, I don't see anything good coming out of this committee, because we just end up being jamboree as usual. But for the statement that he made, they are rhetoric that is as good for Nollywood film production.
Does that now imply that the Nigerian people cannot even trust the words of their own president?
The issue is that he can say what he wants to say, but getting those things implemented is where the challenge is. You made mention of public servant, civil servant, you made mention of policemen in our first discussion. What do you think is the hindrance to some of those government policies? It is because people who are in charge, who are ordered to go and carry out those policies, find opportunity in those policies to enrich themselves and to accumulate and appropriate the wealth of the nation to themselves. Last week, the government held a particular meeting. We call it Public Wealth Management Conference, organized by Ministry of Finance and Corporation, to talk about how they can safeguard public wealth. And at the end of the day, they came out with several recommendations, and they discovered that those recommendations, as laudable as they are, the problem is implementation. And implementation means that people need to implement it to the fullness. But how would they implement it when certain policy will be to the detriment of your interest as a civil servant, as a businessman, and whatever? So what I'm trying to point out, as laudable as government policy is, as long as that policy will not be implemented to the target audience, who are the poor people, then that policy will end up abruptly in the middle.
With calls left, right, and center for from all over all the parts of the country, actually, for protests, we see that a lot of people are beginning to give their opinions on what regions should protest or not, which will begin to, beg to the question of how badly has tribalism eating into the bones, the very fabric of this country. Now, the national leader of the Yoruba social political organization, Afenifere Pa Ruben Fasoranti, yesterday went ahead to warn Yoruba people against participating in the protest that was called by the NLC. That's the NLC protest, right? So he said that there is hardship in the country. He's acknowledging that fact, but it is important to recognize that what the country needs are economic measures, and in as much as the ones that have been implemented now are difficult, they are a part of a larger strategy that is aimed at restoring economic prosperity and all of that, stability in Nigeria. Now, he made a statement saying that people should give President Tinubu more time to address these challenges that are being faced by Nigerians. Now, that is, of course, Pa Fasoranti saying that. We also have, past Yakubu Goa, former president of the Federation of Nigeria, saying that Nigerians should give the president more time and his administration, saying it's too soon to judge. What are your thoughts? Are you thinking that this is coming from a place of old age and wisdom, considering that these two people are well advanced in age, or these individuals who are clamoring for Nigerians to give the government more time? Do you think it's a factor of wisdom that is stemming from age, or do you think it's just they're seeing the same thing, they're seeing things the same way the president is?
For me, I've led protests. I've led people to protest in National Assembly and several other places in Abuja. You get it, as an activist. But one thing I look at protests, at two ways. One, who is calling for protest? Then what is the interest of the protest? Now, if a protest is called for by people you know actually that they're already benefiting from the system, then you stay away from that protest. That's how I see protest. Then two, if that protest would lead to further damages, like this set of people that are saying, okay, don't protest now, just keep calm, let's wait and hope that things will work out for everybody. Now they are looking at the other side of protest that it could lead to other bad thing in the society, particularly when protest is hijacked. But as I said earlier, there are two perspectives I look at protest. Who is calling for protest? Then will the protest succeed? Will it give us the result, or it will be hijacked for other purposes? You get it? Like these current protests are being called for now. TUC and NS call for the protest 27 and 28. Then TUC back out after reasoning on certain things, because they know that currently Nigerian workers are benefiting from the system. Civil servants particularly. I'm not talking about affiliate. How many are they not collecting their salary? Are they not collecting the wage award? They are collecting wage award. But ordinary people like you and I that are working in the street, are we collecting anything from government? They enjoy the palliative rights and other things. So now that is on one side. Then the other side is this. I know you want to quickly punch me.
No, we will come back to it. I'm just letting you finish.
Now the other side is this. Protest, if it is called by Nigerians, for Nigerians and by Nigerians, not by labor, then that kind of protest will succeed. But this one that that the head of the labor union themselves, they're already benefiting from the system. Definitely it will only end up being on a negotiating table with the government and the labor. And look at what they are even asking for, minimum wage and the rest of them. How many people are even enjoying the minimum wage they are calling for? So we need to interrogate issues around protest, as brilliant as laudable as protest, because protest draw attention of government to the plight of the people. But when the people calling for it are already a beneficiary of the system, it has now become protest. What someone used one particular word when we are discussing, said protest caring, or protest monger. If you understand, protest monger, like the one that was aired in Lagos today, was not called by labor. I knew a lot of people that were in that protest. They belong to the same activism group that I belong. They were people who have been doing protests for many years against government, and they are leftists, Nigerian leftists. They didn't organize in Abuja because we are not too strong in Abuja to organize. That's why I would have even attended now. But the one they organized in Lagos at what they call it, at Surulere, it was laudable. They submitted their report and everything to the police and the police commissioner in Lagos and the rest of it. They had their protest. But those kind of people, you won't see them. They are not benefiting from the system. But the one that NSO is going to organize tomorrow and next tomorrow or wherever, you know that at the end of the day, politicians will come and hijack it. That's why we won last week when I was discussing this on this same station or one of that. I said NSC should be wary of politicians who come and hijack protest, or come and in the name of doing solidarity with them, because once they hijack the protest, then they will turn it to opportunity to begin to campaign and begin to raise all manner of issues. So in a nutshell, the protest can go ahead, but for me, you have to interrogate who is calling for the protest.
Now, you mentioned a number of issues, and I'm still going to come back to, you saying that the civil servants are benefiting off of the situation that's going on in the country right now, because we need a lot of clarity on that. Let's stay on, you questioning the intentions of the NLC and whether or not they can be trusted. How do we cannot just throw away the baby with the bathwater. How do we have an NLC that we can trust to actually put a protest together and not let it be hijacked by these politicians or whoever it is that you believe will hijack the protest?
Definitely, once you open the flank, want to open the barricade, because in protest we have different language we use. There is barricade, there is flank. Barricade is the front rear of protest, where you carry the banner and everybody is marching with the microphone and begin to chant and begin to talk. Then the flank are the sideways, whereby at the end of the day everybody will come in. Then the barricade up front is when people will be given opportunity to raise issues. It is then the politicians will come in. They will just sneak in from nowhere. It happened in 2012. It also happened in 2012. It also happened earlier, 2013 or 2014 or thereabout. That was when people like Dino Milai used the opportunity of NLC's protest to begin to use the opportunity to begin getting popular, including El-Rufai and the rest of them. You get it? So that should not happen at this point.
How can that be prevented from happening?
It can be prevented. Just tell them. In the press briefing that they will be doing, maybe they must have done the press briefing too, because there will be the press briefing before the protest. They would have announced, we don't want certain individuals to be part of the protest. That's what they did in Lagos today. They are not saying we don't want politicians, and that you are this or that, don't come around the protest, and they stay away. NSC can do the same thing, so that they will not come and hijack the protest, because once they come in and hijack the protest, it now becomes a ceremony of a sort. Now, on the aspect where I mentioned that it is civil servant and benefit from the system, see, when NSC go into negotiation with government, or when unions go into negotiation with the government, it is only for their members. It is not for the general public. We must understand that people like us that walk through the threshold of the unions and the rest of them understand when we go into union negotiation, it is for the members who are paying dues to us, not for the talakawas that is working on the street. By the time government agreed to all these things, okay, when government end up giving 35,000 wage award to civil servant, the one they're supposed to give to ordinary people, conditional cash transfer, what has happened to it? It's not there. When other emolument, other beneficiary, other of service benefit for Nigerians that was just attached to civil servant and public servant, who else is benefiting from it? The only thing they will tell is, when they collect it, it will trickle down to buying and selling, to trading, to market and the rest of them. But it's not.
But then again, how can these individuals that you term quote unquote telekawa on the street that don't belong to the unions, how can they then benefit off of this government? Of course, are you trying to completely say that there is no benefit to the average Nigerian that is not a member of any of these unions?
Definitely, you will need to understand how unions operate. They are bureaucracy on their own. They only fight for their members, but they will bring the picture of fighting for the entire spectrum, because they will tell you, okay, a worker could have 2 to 4 family members who are also benefiting from it.
But then again, is that not true?
It happens, but how true is that in the reality of what we have found ourselves? Now, when we discussed this about 2-3 weeks, I told you there are about 7 agendas that NLC took to the government. Then they turned into 14. Out of the 14, it's only 1 wage award that was approved, and NLC kept quiet, because from there their dues will be paid to them. What about the other 13? What about the food release? What about the corn, the maize, the grains and the rest of them? Who is monitoring that? Then the next thing the NLC will talk about the CNG buses, because they also want to get some of those buses for themselves and so that they can be able to manage. So you look at the bigger picture of negotiation or discussion around NLC, protests and the rest of them. As good as it is, like the one that was held in Lagos today was fantastic, well organized, and it went well. There was no hijack, because the people that organized it, they already given the warning, don't come close, including area boys and the rest of them. Nobody come close to the, and it was well organized. You get it?
Would you say it's successful though, because it wasn't hijacked? Where their needs were they listened to?
At least
at the end of the day,
the Lagos State government received their complaint. But we just hope that the larger complaint is about how to ensure that food prices is reduced.
Now we're going to come to you saying that civil servants are benefiting off of what is going on in the economy right now. Would you say that that is a fair statement to make, and on what basis are you making that?
What is the major things that civil servants benefit from government? Is it not their salaries, allowances to be paid, their promotions, their arrears, and the rest of them? That's what they benefit.
An average civil servant now would say is on a level what now, 12?
Average civil servant is level 10.
It's 10, right?
Yes.
So they are earning less than 100,000.
Definitely
Less than 100,000 naira. So their salaries roughly cannot buy a bag of rice.
That's what you think.
That's what I think.
Yes, because
less than 100,000. A bag of rice. A bag of rice right now is 70 what? It's 70,000
naira. Rice we are buying. Blessing. Depend on the product of rice.
How much is the cheapest bag of rice that you can buy?
If you can
50
get
kg.
50 kg. If you are going for the one, the rices are in categories. There are Polish rice, there are Polish rice. Different rices are in the market.
So why would I? And just so that we are real at the following, why would someone work 30 days and we're having a conversation about the quality of rice that they should be eating? This is just rice. We're not talking yam. We're not talking about transporting yourself to the office. We're not talking about taking care of your children if you have any, your parents or whatever it is, other responsibilities you have, and you still have to save.
Exactly.
You still have to pay your health insurance. You still have to save for your retirement. You still have to go through all of this, and we're still talking about the cheapest bag of rice you can get cannot be less than 50,000 naira, and that is already more than half of what they are earning. And for us to sit here and say, oh, it is fair, it is they are benefiting off of it because they are being paid their salaries.
What you need to consider is in the entire quantum of Nigerian population, there are just about not up to 10% of the population, the civil servant or public servant. Now look at the rest population. Let's cut out those working in the banking sector, or those ones working in the private sector. There is a chunk of the armies who doesn't have any source of income to survive. But we cater for this set of people with our entire 60% of our budget.
Are they even catered for?
Are they even catered for?
Are they even catered for?
They are catered for.
Are they?
They are. But the only thing is that they are catered for on the basis of their categories in the position and rank they occupy in the service. If you are up to level 10, level 12, you enjoyed the luxury of being in that position. What I'm trying to point out is this: in as much as we want them to be catered for, we want them, as I said earlier, they're also benefiting from the system because they are already being taken care of against the larger population that we have. But more need to be done so that everybody can be carried along. But when we now just position the position, when we push out the position of the workers alone, and in the psyche of every Nigerian, when you talk about labor fighting for workers, they're only thinking about the civil servant.
But then again, there's the trade union.
The trade union focus on the private sector, who are their members. The affiliate unions, who are their members, also paying dues. Now the affiliate,
is that not why these unions are important? Is that not why there are unions? Because are you expecting the government to cater to be able to address every individual? the over 200 million people in Nigeria, the federal government should address them. How? If they do not have unions, if they do not have representatives. Let me take your mind back to the protest that happened in 2020. That was the EndSARS protest. One of the major problems that we faced when after the protest had gone on and successfully so for a while before what happened to it, the government said, okay, we are ready to have a conversation. Who are your representatives? Because they cannot come out and have a conversation with every single individual that was standing on the street. So representation does matter. Unions do matter. We cannot just say that, or because some unions have been sabotaged, or I don't know if it is fair. I think that's a better way to put it. I don't know if it's fair for us to come out and say, oh, because some unions have been sabotaged and been used wrongly, then unions are not important.
What you need to
people have to be represented.
Definitely, people need to be represented, but the representation of those people is limited based on the union membership. What you need to understand is this picture is this: okay, the workers, which set of workers? But in the picture of Nigerians who want to understand what NLC is fighting for, they are thinking the NLC is fighting for even them that are not their members.
But then you see, even these Nigerians that you keep bringing up, they have have unions too. If you go to the markets, you'll see them with their packets of unions. Virtually everybody belongs to, and they have their tiny little card, and they hold their tiny little meetings every now and then. If you go to, for example, a home mechanic on a Saturday, you'll see them holding
Those
their
are-
meetings.
they-
If you see, and all of them now belong to, they have like
They are
wards,
affiliates.
and
Most
then
of them
they
are-
have
yes,
a
now, yes.
general body, and then they have levels, right, to all of this.
But the issue is that what is the interest of all this in the garment of, or the quantum of what we are looking for? I just been mentioned out of 7 points that was required from the government by the labor union, it's one that has been fulfilled, and that one only satisfy which one? About 10% of the population. What about the rest? Even though we understand that 5 billion was given to governors, go and share food, go and do this, go and do that, but the majority of Nigerians are yet to benefit from all the palliative that government is giving. So how do we address that? How do we ensure that everybody benefit from the government palliative, or for the government like this, towards cushioning the effect? And I said something that the major concern of Nigeria is, how do we control the price of food? If government have come out within these 2 days and said, we call on all producers or manufacturers of food in Nigeria, reduce your food by 50%.
If
How
the
do you think
government,
Nigerians
if the
are
government does that, how do these manufacturers break even? For those of them that are genuinely being affected by the inflation that we have in the country, these are private businesses. If I own a private business, the government did not give me 1 kobo to build my business.
Exactly.
I came up with my money, however that I did, and I started off a business. Adefolari. I even contribute money from my business in paying my tax. What right does the government have to tell me to subsidize the price of my goods? Are the government going to make up for the rest of the money?
The first critical question that will come to you is this: what part of the system that is affecting your business not to grow, that government is helping you? Now, one of the excuses you will give that's making you to jack up your price of goods, and you say dollar, and they ask you, where do you get the dollar from? Who provided the dollar for you?
Are they even providing the dollar?
Definitely. Most businesses that complain about jacking up their price of goods and services, it's as a result of, they say they are complaining they can't have access to forex. Now government provides forex for them at subsidized rate.
Government provided forex for them. Have government said that they have provided, and now you are carrying us to, you're carrying me go where I don't know, because just recently there is a whole, I didn't want us to get into that, the whole question of the federal government going to send the DSS and the rest of them after the BDC operators, which is where the business owners actually get their dollar from, if we are being honest. If you get into the streets, ask business owners how many of them actually get their dollars, their forex from the banks.
One thing you must know about business people, even though apology to many of them that are listening to us that may not be comfortable with some of our talk to them, because we have to be very, very real. Some of them, what is business, by the way? What is the real meaning of business? It's legal robbery. Legal robbery, that's the meaning of business in its true sense.
I said it, you're carrying me to where
we are coming to somewhere. You know where we are coming? This issue of protest, as we rightly pointed out, supposed to give us one good result at the end of the day. That is how government can crash price of goods and services in the market. But over the months that NSC have been having interface with the government, it has only given us one thing, and that one thing has only benefited a particular group. What about the rest of the group? So what should we demand for?
Who demanded for that one thing that was given? Is it not the group that it benefited? No, because you cannot tell me that because my father has 12 children and then I ask for something and my father gives me what I ask for, the other remaining children will now blame my father for giving me what I demanded. The other population, have they come to put themselves together to say that we demand this and they're not being responded to?
Do you know the eyes of every Nigerian on NSC? NSC has been in the forefront of fighting for Nigerians. And if you read most of their statement, they said Nigerians workers. So that implication or understanding of every single Nigerian is like NLC is fighting for us. Check all their protests over there.
Inadvertently, aren't they?
Definitely they're supposed to fight for us, but the fight only end up benefiting a particular group. I don't know whether I get it. It end up benefiting let me give us one instance. In 2012 that we have the fuel subsidy protest. At the end of the day, minimum wage was worked on. At the end of the day, buses were bought for people to reduce as means of transportation. Who benefit from those buses? An affiliate of TUC and NLC, government give them safety net money to buy buses. Transporters, did it really help in reducing the price of transportation at the end of the day? It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. But for this one that is happening right now, is how government can address the food price. And I made mention of something. I say, if government have come out and say all food manufacturer in Nigeria reduce your price by 50%.
And I ask again, on what grounds can the government do that?
It can happen. I've given an example here that we can give a leverage and say, okay, in the next 3 months, all the ticket, all the leverages, all the whatever levies that you guys normally pay, we keep it aside for the next 3 months.
It still will not make up to 50%.
It will not make, because every businessman is taking off profit and profit and profit. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be.
Why? But then again, is that not the idea of business?
No. The idea of business, as you rightly pointed out, is to make profit. That is it. But make profit in which we understand to be exploitation.
Well, I mean, there should be a defining line between, making profit, fair profit and unfair profit.
To a businessman, there's nothing like fair profit. I'll give you one critical example. I like citing example. CBN gave out money to all these businessmen, manufacturing association, who could also be, they're also part of the committee that the president just set up yesterday. Give them money. This is that they can bring down price of things some years back. Do they do that? A lot of them still come back to the government and say, the money you gave us, we can't pay back. Although I understand why they can't pay back, because most of them went and bought plant, generating set, equipment and the rest of them. They end up spending the money on things that they will not be able to recover back on.
Which will now bring us to the question of whether or not the government is, equipping these people rightly. That's for those that they're equipped in that story, but then let's not dive into that. We've done enough digressing so far. Right. Join the conversation 0818-6757-446. That's the number to call. 0818-6757-446. Or you could drop a message on WhatsApp on 0700 010 961 961. We have about 14 minutes to wrap up the show, so let's look at this. The president, there was a meeting today, the FEC meeting, now Federal Executive Council meeting at Aso Villa earlier today, and the Minister of Information and National Orientation, that's Mohammed Idris, revealed to his State House correspondents that President Bola Tinubu has ordered the full implementation of the El-Rufai report. So I'm going to quickly quote him. He said, so in a very bold move today, this administration under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, consistent again with his courage to take very far-reaching decisions in the interest of Nigeria, has taken a decision to implement on the so-called El-Rufai report. Now, what this means is that a number of agencies, commissions, and some departments have actually been scrapped. Some have been modified and marked, while others have been subsumed. Others, of course, have been also moved from some ministries to others where the government feels they will operate better. Now, this is a report that, have come up several times in several conversations. Since after this administration came up, several experts have advised the administration to, implement these reports. There are too many ambiguities in some ministries and agency departments. There are some duplicities. We have a lot of duplications. You would hear ministries that sound very alike and they are doing virtually the same thing. You find out one ministry is doing something, another is not. What are your general what are your general takings on this?
I think on this particular one, it would be nice if we implement it. It would be okay that if we bring it on board. But the key question is, the rent seeking society that we are today, with the political economy of our elite, would they allow that policy to happen? This has been for the past 10 years. This particular report has been written, submitted during the Jonathan government. Buhari government just called for the white paper, and white paper was submitted, and he refused to take it up because of the rent-seeking attitude of Nigerians and also the political economy of our elite, in the sense that every agency that you see is a juicy and luxury opportunity for some elite to appropriate and accumulate wealth from them. Being board member, governing council, whatever committee that agency or that organization could provide, So far, it could be a proper opportunity for rent sinking. Rent sinking means that you'll be there and money will be coming in. You are not adding value to the society. That's what rent sinking means. Now, in this perspective, now, will the political party in power allow this to take place? Because that's where I have issue. Members of APC who have been lined up to become board member, director, DG, rest of them, who are hoping that they will catch up on this kind of opportunity to also occupy a position, would they allow it? Then let's not also forget the unions. We just finished talking about NS and the rest of them. They also have been on the block trying to ensure that, because the fear is that if this merging, this paper is implemented, a lot of workers will lose their job. That's been the fear. But what with understanding that is coming right now is that government need to educate people a lot, government need to inform people a lot, and government also need to orient their members, their parties, particularly the APC members, on this laudable policy of the government, so that people will not misunderstand what the essence of this policy is all about, because it has just two goals: one, efficiency and effectiveness, as well as dropping or reducing wastages and bringing on transparency and accountability in government. So I said two, but that two can be split into four. One, efficiency and effectiveness. When you talk about efficiency, you're talking about time. Effectiveness, you're talking about reducing, efficiency, you're talking about reducing wastages. Effectiveness, you're talking about time. Then transparency and accountability, so that people can see what government is doing with what we have in terms of institution and agency of government. And that's just the essence. So we just hope that the gladiators will allow this to happen, because as they said it today, don't be surprised, people will begin to launch attack on the government, that why do you want to do this? They'll begin to raise some sentiment. They'll begin to misinform Nigerians that as they are merging one agency together, they are going to sack people, because that was the message that was being dropped in 2013 when this particular report was
but if people are not going to be fired, what is going to be the goal? Because then we'll now have duplicity of roles. If we both have the same job description and one agency is being scrapped, what then happens to the other person that is in the agency that is being scrapped?
Definitely with time, there will going to be a reduction in the workforces of an agency that is made together. You must understand the idea behind this, the mechanism behind merging agency or subsuming an agency under one agency, or taking out one agency. Take for instance, we have EFCC, you have Code of Conduct Bureau, then we have ICPC. They have been suggested that they should be merged together. Now, in merging them together, there will still be a line of differentiation on what they'll be doing. Code of Conduct could be a department by the time a name is given for the merging of that agency. EFCC could be a department by the time a name is given for that agency. ICPC could be a name given to. Now look at what they are doing separately now. ICPC focus on getting data from people, public officials, on what is your properties, what you have. The ICPC go after government officials, particularly civil servants who have done wrong in terms of stealing or corruption. Then EFCC goes after former politicians or current politicians who have stolen money on the rest of them. You can see how their work is spelled out. But by the time they merge it together, there could be department in each one of them. But will you reduce the workforce? Definitely. Immediately it may not reduce, but as time goes on, it could.
Well, based on the 800-page report that was being recommended today, I think we'd have to pick this RSI report situation, all over again tomorrow, because there's so much to analyze in it. We'd have to pick it up from here tomorrow because of want of time. But you would know that 263 of the statutory agencies that we have will be slashed to 161. 36 agencies will be scrapped entirely. We would have 52 will be merged, 14 will be reverted into departments in various ministries, and this would be able to look at which is going to go through what, reopen it, so that we can have a very valid conversation with the people, very in-depth analysis about it. We'll pick up the conversation from here tomorrow. Thank you very much, Adi Folarin Olamileko, for joining us in the house. And do you have any final words on all the stories we looked at?
The major thing is that for the protest, people should just go about their normal business. You are not forced to join the protest. If you feel like joining NLC for the protest, fine. If you don't feel like joining, then just stay away from the protest and go and do your business and also That's all I have to say.
Well, makes sense. Hustle, 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 hustle. And if you have any bad intentions towards the protest, this is not the time to do it. This is a moment where the nation needs to come together. Social media can be for crews, but don't allow the crew to affect your lives, where we're having different tribes come at each other. Some people saying, oh, it's your business. Others saying it's not. Whatever we're going to do to move the nation forward, we all have to do, irrespective of our tribal differences, our religious differences, our political differences, even our class differences, because when it rains, it pours, and when it pours everywhere. Look out for yourself and your neighbor. My name is Chinwe Blessing. Programs continue on Voice of the People 96.7.